Harmony. And that is Ileana. That is the character Magic, who
they don't name. They just they say little sister.
Right.
Who apparently cannot hear a tractor behind her as she is.
All right, now I'm going to fight with you. You and I both have young-ish daughters. Mine is 10, yours is 8.
Sure.
Does Penny ever get distracted and not hear
not hear a tractor behind her?
Well, my daughter sometimes gets so engrossed in the amazing imaginative world that she's in that she would not hear a tractor.
That stood out for me.
Our two comics are colored differently. Just to point out, in Classic X-Men #1, the effect behind Colossus, or Peter Rasputin, is not that beautiful magenta. It's an orange.
That's interesting.
I love I love his power up. Like it just. I redrew that one as a kid a couple times for pleasure, and I love the look of him as organic steel, and
cool.
that design it impacted me, and that character's never changed. Like he's always had these bands of organic metal wrapped around.
It's a great design.
It just really works.
Give me 1 second. You talk about this page. Give me 1 second.
I love it. I also just now to have fun with it is that his clothes don't rip. When he does change size in many versions of Colossus, many artists will draw him where he grows considerably as he changes into this metal form. But here his skin tight undershirt stays skin tight. A little bit of elasticity, we'll go with that. But the pants don't rip. Of course they don't want to have him rip pants. But in other when he does size up, he does get much more muscly. So I find it kind of fun that he stays in his clothes. But they would never have done it otherwise.
No.
So, but I absolutely love the motion of it's really Kirby-esque. Both those the panels in the middle tier, how he's this raw power coming out of the body language, and then moving forward, and just the urgency of it. I also love the point of view of in the first one when he's running and he's still in his human form, eye level is kind of like matched with his. In the last one, when he's transformed, we're a little bit below him, looking up at him, and a little more in awe. And it really worked for me. And in that one where he's that third panel in the middle tier, he's just breaking through the panel barrier too, right? Like he's a little bigger, it's a little more impactful, it's a little more dynamic, and that's a great panel. I love the power effect in the background too. And he goes, and instead of gently stopping, like just
could he not just
couldn't brace for it? He has to smash it. So I love it.
Which, by the way, he refers to as like, oh man, now my family is screwed because we can't afford another one because we have no money because we're poor and we're communist. And so because of that, I'll go to this school.
Right. In the classic X-Men version I'm reading, he also doesn't have the blue shadow on his arm. It's all like that blue is removed completely from the panel. So I think that one, the one you're reading, is way cooler looking.
Okay, cool.
But anyway, just putting that out there. Different colorist. And we move on, and it finished Colossus' story. He gets the full other page. So, he gets, again, almost 2 1/3 pages, almost. Right. And it's grid stuff. So, the character's awesome. And word is that originally he was getting positioned to be the lead character in the new team. He was going to be the central character. It doesn't go that way, as we all know, but they were positioning him for that. Anyway, moving on to another big problem.
Yeah.
We are meeting here. Oh, dos vidania, Peter. So they leave. He gets an extra panel at the end. I find that they couldn't work the pages as like these whole scenes. I find it. Well, there's a reason why, and we'll get there in a minute. But I kind of question the storytelling a little bit in terms of its transitions from scene to scene. But then we see John Proudstar in Arizona, and he does not like the reservation where he lives. It's dusty. John Proudstar is an Apache, and he is ashamed of his people, it says. I don't know how much you want to go into this one. He takes down a bison, showing...
Because he can.
Because he can.
They want to demonstrate the fact that he has powers. How do you do that? By randomly taking down a bison.
Right.
Like, is there a point to that aside from just,
a show of strength.
Show of strength and speed and such.
Yes, and I've come looking for such a man, John Proudstar. John Proudstar.
Yeah, it's
And then he calls Professor X a cripple.
Yeah.
And they have it out a little bit.
Yeah, X calls him out too, and you're like, wow, you are not a nice man.
Yep. To give pride back to your people.
Oh yeah. There's reference to alcoholism in these two panels.
Yep.
It's a super problematic set of panels.
Perhaps the Apache are all frightened, selfish children, Xavier says to him. And so he gets basically baited into joining as a way to show his bravery. Yeah.
Yeah, show me how tough you are, because that's what matters. And so anyway.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you after that. I'm going to just change the view here for a second.
Okay.
Well,
that's a cool view.
Thank you. So we have that, and then the next page is a recap of their mission.
Right.
Okay, by John Bolton and Claremont. So they just get gathered, like, we have to find these mutants. They're going to go to this island. There they are.
They used to look like.
Yeah, hold on. Next page is the mission.
The mission, yeah.
They win.
Right, so all the things that are meant to happen.
And it's like over in 2 pages.
Goes to show you how important they thought that actual spread was.
2 pages. They finish the fight in terms of thinking about how they want to recap, what they find to be important. And the rest of this issue, the remaining 10 pages or so, are all character moments between people, which we can talk about another time. Sure. But really, really neat as a counterpoint to, like, 10 years later, what does Claremont, what does Claremont think is important to talk about? Is it about the mission to Krakatoa or Krakoa? We'll have to Krakoa. Thank you.
Krakoa. But I like the way you pronounced it.
Thank you.
You added like 4 other letters.
You can tell that this is the one I grew up on, where they spent no time there.
They spent no time.
Anyway, so
kind of like a pre-Savage Land, right? Like
totally. It not just that, but don't forget Len Wein has these characters we're about to see. If you want to turn the page, unless there's something else you want to say about this,
sure.
It's very problematic for sure. Yeah. For sure.
I got definitely something to say about this one.
Okay, so I'll say what I was going to say about Len Wein and Savage Land thing in a minute. Well, so then you get this new chapter 2. So this is why I think those pages before don't necessarily flow, because they're setting up for there to be a chapter break here, a full page.
Yeah.
So they're squeezing information in. I think the attention is put elsewhere and not into really excellent storytelling in the first half of this issue. Other than the great spreads for characters like Nightcrawler and Colossus and Storm, in terms of storytelling, not in terms of content. But anyway, yeah.
I'm going to suggest something to you.
Please.
Right now. We're at the start of a brand new chapter. It's 4:00.
Sure.
We've been on for an hour.
Sure.
Do we want to pick this up fresh? I've probably got about 15 minutes left. That's why I'm suggesting to you.
I think we can get through it if we don't talk too much about the pages.
Okay.
They get these new costumes.
Yeah.
Awesome designs. Sure. Colossus gets blue pants when he's powered down, by the way, and they disappear when he's powered up. And this is the unstable molecules thing. Okay?
Right.
He actually says it.
Reed Richards.
Xavier says that Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four has given them this technology for unstable molecules. And it is a catch-all in Marvel Comics when anyone has a costume. Like, why doesn't Torch's costume go on fire? How come Professor X's Reed Richards' costume can stretch when he stretches? Right. It's the unstable molecules. It's just this great catch-all.
It also apparently doesn't work on women. So that was my other comment when I saw the Reed Richards. I'm like, well, Reed's clearly also has design choices in mind.
So maybe
for female versions of these teams. Everyone else is fully clothed. Everyone else is fully clothed.
Well, yes. And Storm is in sort of in a bikini of sorts.
High boots.
Yes.
And a bikini with a cape.
Yes, it is definitely an issue. If we're going to just talk about that for another moment, also the color of skin available in the palette for any kind of variety of skin tone is the only. I mean,
right.
Yeah, it's awful. The other option is sort of something even more gray, and you'll see an old FF when you see Black Panther. his skin is terrible. So characters like Falcon,
Right.
they don't ever look as good
Luke
as
Cage?
they could.
I mean,
Luke Cage as well, yeah.
Other black characters? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, but I always like the body language of the different characters in this scene. It tells you something about them.
It does. I mean, it's a good setup of a page.
It is. Yeah, there are lots of problems, for sure.
For sure.
So the team gets ready. They meet Cyclops with his new visor, and he is ready to go. And they hop in the Stratojet.
And then Count Dante kicks
that's
some ass.
Count Dante is a whole thing.
I know.
Kayfabe dives into it.
I know.
So off they go. We get the rounded panel borders to tell you that this happened in the past as a flashback.
Sorry, that's a device?
Dude, we used it in issue 4, remember?
We used that? Rounded panel board?
Are you joking? You're being facetious, right?
No, I honestly don't. Okay, we may have. I'm sure we used it. I'm just saying we used it.
No, we did. The flashback to South Africa. There's rounded panel borders.
I didn't realize that was the difference.
Okay, you need to go read some Group of 7 comics, dude.
I don't go back. I want to go forward.
So the rounded panels is. I didn't make it up. I mean, I
think it's cool.
The other ones you could do would be like the thought balloon version because it's sort of from someone's memory.
Yeah,
but this is a common way to do flashback.
Very cool.
So yeah, the X-Men go to this island, and then they don't know what happens. By the way, on the bottom of page, is it 22, 23? Pardon me, 23.
Yeah.
Havoc's headdress.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Just a thought to throw it at you and any other people who see this, like any other artists, whatever, creators of any kind. A thought. I'm going to say that maybe, generally speaking, when someone has a whack design, a crazy design, sometimes the only artist that can draw it cool is the one who came up with it. Right. And Dave Cockrum did not create this costume. This is a Neil Adams costume. Okay. And I think it might not work for any other. I mean, Dave Cockrum does not do a nice version. It looks insane. It doesn't look like it.
It's not going to work at all if he walks in any kind of forest or brush. It's just branches and leaves.
It makes me think it's the Cerebro thing. It's like some kind of head. It's part of a power set of some kind. Like you have mental powers. This is not. It does not match Havoc, the character, and his power set in any way to me.
Not at all.
So anyway, in the past, something happens. They're on this island, and then they get ambushed, and they never return.
Okay.
And that's the setup for where the X-Men are going to go. Cyclops makes it back somehow. He autopilot, whatever, gets back to the X-Men. His powers are gone for a while, and now he is back and telling the X-Men, we're going to go face down this thing.
That's right.
Difficult stuff.
Yeah. I mean, chapter 2 is pretty quick because we're up to chapter 3 right now. Like,
right.
Chapter 1 was substantial setup. Chapter 2 is like, here's the recap, and now chapter 3 is we're back in the present.
Is this the part where Sunfire left and came back?
Yeah.
He quits.
Yeah, he quits.
By which panel? Panel 2?
Yeah. One page. Yeah, he's on the same page. He quits and then he comes back.
And
he also, really? I don't even know how if they're up in the atmosphere and he joins, like, how do they open that door and no one flies out of it?
Now, hold on. Also, isn't there a racist remark here too?
Yeah, there is.
Your turn. What did he say?
God, I'm not going to say it.
Is that bad?
He calls him the JAP.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So they're using derogatory language. Is it meant to be derogatory?
And bottom left panel.
It's intended as something derogatory too, right?
Yeah. It's also said by John
my God.
too.
Wow. Yeah, they call him a derogatory word for a Japanese person.
Yep.
Yeah, this is incredible, and it's shocking. So he rejoins the team. They go back.
Yep.
They assault the island.
Yeah. Oh, can I also raise my hand here for a second? What I love about, by the way, come to this school, control your powers. Thanks for coming. I need you to save my old team. And they're like, I did not sign up for any of it, except for Wolverine, who's like, yeah, let's do this. Because
I think this becomes also like an ongoing thing that other writers, when they look back at X-Men, they see this as problematic. And they build on this deficiency of Xavier's personality.
Oh, my goodness.
And they don't really blame the writer. They blame the character for this characterization. So there is a whole story about another team that gets lost. A whole other team.
I wrote down Professor Xavier is a dick.
Did you ever read the Brubaker run? I know you and I both like that Brubaker. He does a run of X-Men where they reveal that there's a whole other team that also disappeared, that Xavier then erased from everyone's memory, including the third Summers brother.
Fantastic.
Or ridiculous, but moving on.
No, but that's in line with Xavier's behavior. Ooh, look at those figs.
Yeah, the Migos.
I just feel like there was a great early website called Superman is a Dick, and it just took panels out of context and just and these are great. And I wrote that. I was like, man, Xavier, like, what are you doing? Anyway, but then there is a bit of a story reveal that maybe connects that piece. They write it in. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so they get to the island. They try and figure out what's going on, try and find the other members, and they are quickly attacked by the island. Or they deduce eventually there's this, ancient architecture there of some kind. You can continue to They basically have to fight these there are these trials they each have to kind of go through. And they get to use their powers in some way.
Well, that's
Wolverine gets to fight the crab people.
The crab people, yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. He does not like crustaceans. That is well established on page 4. I'm out of this Canadian racket. You keep feeding me these lobsters.
So they have these trials they each face, and there's a little bit of, team collaboration, and they come to realize that the island itself is alive and is their adversary. So you mentioned before about Savage Land. I'm going to throw at you the idea of a living island, this plant-based kind of sentient thing. Don't forget, Len Wein also co-creates Swamp Thing 4 years earlier. So he's not like, this is just like a giant Swamp Thing.
Giant Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing they're fighting, evil giant Swamp Thing. And other writers have come and used Krakoa as something meaningful.
Okay.
Moving forward, it's a huge part of where the X-Men are right now in comics.
Yeah, are they on Krakoa right now? Isn't that the whole deal?
It's like a team member. Krakoa is a member of the team in some way.
Like Mogo?
Like Mogo or Ego, the Living Planet. I always like that picture of Angel, by the way, in the bottom there. I think it's just a neat face. Yeah, it's a nice Dave Cockrum. And you see there, he's using an arrow. Which panel to go to next?
Oh, yeah.
Between panels 4 and 5.
That's good.
Sometimes that's a device that gets used. If you can avoid it, you avoid it. But for clarity. So the X-Men, they rescue the original X-Men that are there, and they are trying to escape. The island starts to show its eyes and make a face, because, we like to fight things with faces.
Of course.
And they eventually realize they need to use all their powers combined in some amazing way.
But
the team... Go ahead, sorry.
No, okay. But this is where it comes in. So I'm reading this book. Sorry, I have children yelling in the background. I'm reading this book, and it's like, well, Professor X, everyone just goes to them so easily, it seems. They're just like, yeah, I'll give up my life here because it's terrible in wherever, Bavaria or Soviet Union, whatever. But then he says here that actually this is all this dude's doing. Because, hey, yes, we used you. The leg calls Xavier the legless one. Who gathered you all together. So we got ableism in here too, by the way. We haven't even mentioned ableism.
Right.
Gathered you all together at the command of a voice only his mind could hear. So am I to believe that even this new team getting together is not Xavier's doing, it's Krakoa's doing?
I think it is
power, right?
ambiguous enough that you could interpret it that way, or that it's a subconscious call.
Okay.
Right? It's sort of like maybe he incepted, to use that fun phrase, incepted the idea of bringing more mutants to the island.
Nice. Okay.
Sure.
It's interesting, because it's kind of like, how does this all work? And then in this one piece of dialogue, it's like, oh, I guess we're to assume that this guy's controlling all of it.
One quick cartooning thing. I really do love Dave Cockrum's use of texture on Krakoa's surface. It doesn't feel hard. It feels mushy and organic in terms of the way he uses his brush.
Yeah, like
it's effective, right? It feels mossy and furry and something, not rigid or scaly in any way. Sure. So it's good cartooning there.
Okay, let's keep going.
Or good inking, I should say, which he does, by the way. He does both penciling and inking in this issue. Yeah. There they go. They use their powers. They're having some trouble. We meet Polaris and Havoc, who are two additional X-Men that were in. They were kind of two second wave of students. So Cyclops' younger brother, and Polaris, who is now like she's basically a Magneto kind of character. She has magnetism powers.
Sure.
Um,
Magnetic.
right.
Fight. Xavier joins the fight and gives up. So here we go more about Xavier. Just saying.
And then
I can't do it, Scott.
They interact.
Okay. They're all take over again.
I love that the first panel in at the start of page 45, where it goes down to like the center of the earth.
Yeah, that's cool.
Forget about the scale of that. I just love the idea of a cross section. Cross sections in comics often just interest me.
And they repeat it, right? Which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's of course in really cool. Yeah. And then in 44, I love the one with Storm. You know, her powers, and she takes off to the top. Really cool looking.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, and they destroy the island.
And they send it into space.
Shooting a laser. Yeah. Do we hear about it later?
Not now, but later.
Okay. Then they survive a tsunami.
Yes.
And their jet is waterproof.
Right, but they're also in an ice ball, right?
They're also in an ice ball. That's true.
Yeah.
They do show. I will say this: he does create the ice ball, which looks like something I would put in the bottom of my drink and pour scotch over. And what they do is they do show them the next panel like getting bumped around, like it's not a smooth save, which I think actually is a smart move.
Yes.
Anyway,
and then there's of course that great ending.
Yeah.
Where what are we going to do with 13 X-Men? Well, I'll tell you, they're going to kill one.
Yeah. Also, like Angel, who maybe Warren Worthington III.
Yes.
Like it there. So we talk about those 5 privileged white kids. Having been the third of something usually suggests something.
Sure.
I love how he immediately is like, "Well, go to the back because these are my seats." You're like, dude, you just got saved by these people. And he's like, "Hey, everybody, give me my seat back." Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's with the Doomsmith.
The Doomsmith. So basically, I mean, just to kind of come to the end of it here, is that this is not great.
No.
But this is the beginning of how it goes from being not great to what is thought of as great.
Yes.
And seeing that transition is going to be an interesting journey. So
one that we're going to go on together.
You out there and you and I here, Chris, if you want to see how it goes from being not great with the pieces in place, how it goes from being not great into something that is regarded as great, click like and subscribe. Stick with us. Let us know. Send us a comment. Drop us an email.
All through the technical things and all the... We'll get there. We
powered through. Let us know that you want to see and read through these issues to see how it goes from being this not great thing into the comics that became a classic and have influenced generations and been the source for billions of dollars of media content for not us.
Or no one on this video.
And these iconic characters that honestly are so near and dear to the hearts of so many people. We have access to these really clear graphics, and we're so happy to share them with everyone out there and to talk about it. So let us know if you're enjoying it. Let us know if you had fun. Comment on the video, or again, send us a message in some way, either through the website or email, which is info@group7comics.ca, 7 being the number. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to do more